hello, baby. Hello. I feel in a boding mood. That is why you can hear the classical music. I'm in a mood of talking of pain and philosophy. Well, I just felt like I need to do part 2 of the, as I said, my philosophy of pain. It feels fitting, it feels right, because it was ultimately just one half of the equation. Because yeah, as I said in a previous video, you can gain a lot of benefits and a lot of enlightenment, and ultimately I feel you can find true humanity through pain. But there is obviously, how do I put it, the more natural, or it's so hard to word it, because natural, I wouldn't say natural. No, no. The natural state, it actually is. Pain is not something you can naturally use for good. You have to learn that. It's a skill, it's training. You have to learn to convert energies and hurt feelings ultimately, and that's not something you can just do. It's not, you literally have to go through so much of it for you to learn it. But I guess the negative aspects of pain is simply you can be consumed by it in a short. Like, it's something what will eat you up and just leave you a husk of what you were and what you wanted to be. It's something that will rip apart families, friends, goals. I hit my phone. Goals and dreams. Like, it's, I don't know, it's like a very highly reactive material, like something what is aggy and activated by anything, be it the wind blew too hard on it, be the sun shone on it too greatly. That's basically what it is. It's just a volatile thing waiting to just go off. And a lot of us have grown up and gone through terrible things in our lives, like true traumas, and like ultimately chaoses, in it, because it's just really is chaoses. Most of those things are not ever meant to happen, they happen. And ultimately we're left with that choice, like, do we like move on, or do we remain in it? And I'm making it sound like it's so easy, but it really isn't. It's something so complex, and something that can have people trapped for years. Like, you could have had a really terrible upbringing, for example, like your parents were the worst, your schooling was the worst, even the children around you could have been the worst, you know. And you grow up and you could obviously try and escape that, in a sense of, there's honestly many ways, and I don't want to go into the more darker aspects of it, but you either run from the things you're scared of, or you embrace them, innit? And it's weird, like, because when someone hasn't actually managed to escape, or it has consumed them, it's not like they've been defeated, because obviously they're still there, they're still oh, but actually, are they really who they were? Because they get to a point where they're like, it's really hard to even begin to break it down, because I feel like I'm generalizing a lot, but it's like they get to a point where it's like they can't run, because it's become so intertwined into them. Everything is against them. So it is actually so hard to talk about, you know. It's not, I thought it would be easier, but it's not, because it has so many variables. Like, like the example I gave earlier, you could have grown up with like a really terrible upbringing, etc. Yeah, and you don't have to emulate that shit. You could once you were able, you got out and you never looked back, and you never returned. You met new people, you met new friends, you unlearned the things what you were taught. That is obviously a way you can escape it, but that's the rarity. So yeah, like, honestly, I find this topic more harder to explain or even get out than the previous one. And simply being, it has so many variables. It has obviously the mental side of pain, like how it affects your mental health, how it affects you physically, how it affects you emotionally, how it even affects how you perceive the world. Like, someone who's been like effed over by everyone who was either meant to look out for them, look after them, any of that, yeah, is never gonna see the world like someone who's had everything they've ever wanted. And even that, no one's ever had what they ever wanted, but I mean in the sense that they've never gone hungry. They may have wanted a new PlayStation 5 or something, but they've never gone hungry. They never not had new shoes or a new, like, you know what I mean? There was love in their life. Someone who's actually known love could never actually look at someone who's only known pain, hate, and anger and tell them to stop being negative. Because you have to imagine, pain is ultimately a power source, right? You can use that power source, but that power source derives from darkness. And I mean the darkest of places. Like, you've gone through madnesses to even be able to comprehend the ability of pain. Because not everyone can do this, because not everyone's gone down the same road, yeah? So, these people who haven't had, not even that they haven't had the chance to escape it and learn to use this pain for better, it's more that they haven't been shown, or they have never even realised they could. So these people are in a shell within a volcano, what is always ready to erupt and explode. But that's the only reason why they're trying to erupt and explode, is to push back all the darkness was always trying to eat at them. They used to trust, they used to love, all of that things, but bit by bit, the pain has etched at them and ripped it away with each betrayal or beating or rape or whatever has happened, yeah. It eats away at that person until they're basically left. There was a saying I said the other day, yeah, and it goes like this, yeah. You shouldn't cry, even though I don't believe. Yeah, I'm not agreeing with the fact that you shouldn't cry, because obviously you need to cry, especially when like it gets too much, yeah. But the saying goes, yeah, you shouldn't cry because each tear you drop, every more of your humanity leaves you, and until you're left as a husk of a demon. And I know it sounds all crazy, and I probably butchered it because I don't think it's how I said it's how it's meant, but the message is still there. Like, these people have cried themselves to sleep for nights and begged and wished and even prayed, and there was no answer, and all they could rely on was that pain. Even though that pain ultimately was the thing they despised the most, that was the only consistent thing. Love left them, hope left them, everything left them, but they had pain. And in that pain, don't get me wrong, the ones who don't convert it to good energy still have a hell of a lot of power. Because have you ever actually seen someone who's actually been truly like hurt by the world? When you look into their eyes, you can almost pick up on that. Maybe not always, but briefly you look into some people's eyes and you see nothing but a well of sadness. Like, and I haven't even touched on how it affects people around those people. So imagine you're in that dark world and you're now all of a sudden coming into contact with people who are a lot better than the people of your past. These are people who are completely different. They show you love, compassion, all of that stuff. But you wouldn't know how to deal with it. You're in the dark and the light is blinding to you because you have never seen it. And that's often the problem. These people are still, they very much need those friends and those loved ones, but they often push them away because of the pain, because the pain wants them for themselves. And that's how it is very destructive. You become, don't get me wrong, you become powerful, you become so strong because you've dealt with so much stuff. Because obviously you had to, there was no other choice, there was no one else but you. but the price is you've almost hardened your heart to the point that you can't even accept anything back in. You walk in the day, but it always feels like night. There is actually nothing but anger. Keep on trying to bring up the point that there is power in it. Because don't get me wrong, yeah, I'm not trying to, how can I put it? Someone who feels like they have to go against the world and there's no one else backing them but them, yeah, that person is, let's just say that person is dangerous. Because think about it, yeah, if all you've known, yeah, is the worst of humans, and you then as a result become the worst of humans because you don't see the point, you don't want to try, you lash out, you become toxic, there's so many things what stem from letting pain run free for too long. But I'm talking like it's your fault, but it's not, because obviously you are not the one who dealt out the initial pain and the initial sin to yourself. You didn't do that to yourself, right? Yeah. But what makes it yours? What turns it from what the person did to you and makes it more what you then did to yourself is how you harbored it. Because like everyone reacts and deals with things differently, innit? So if someone feels wronged, yeah, how are you honestly gonna tell that person, no, don't do it? It's like when I left the Naruto clip in the last video. Man said, what about my village? What about my, you know what I mean? That person in pain feels the same way. You didn't care when I was crying, when I begged for help. No one cared. So when they lose their compassion, they become, I guess, monsters. Everyone becomes. But the thing is, those sort of people are not bad people. They never ever have been bad people. They're normally like, oh, that's a bit loud. Let me turn that down. They're never normally bad people. They're never ever. It's honestly at first it's the opposite. Like it's normally that they're the sweetest and the kindest of people, the ones who see the good in everything, and then it's those people I feel pain targets. Because well, the point is that when we have friends and families who've had like, you know, like a hard life, and we know we all have those sort of friends who've had like, you guys know what I'm talking about. You definitely have in your circle that person, when you hear about it, when you get closer to them, you're like, right, is this actually a movie? But is their life? Yeah, there's always someone like that. I say, or I would ask of you to just try and look at them. If after this video you kind of see, but I guess what I can say is that if you know your friends or family have lived a life full of pain, not to say that you need to baby them or you need to like put them in like cotton wool, but you need to understand that they might not even know what love is, and love might be very scary to them, and they in themselves will become or are self-destructive when faced with something they're not used to, because all they've really known is destruction, isn't it, and chaos. So when you come at them with love and compassion and they blow it back in your face, remember, this is just a safety mechanism. This is just the life they've lived. This is what they've learned. And as those friends and as those family, you basically have to like knock on this hard rock, this hard stone for ages until you start cracking it. Because it is, sometimes it takes so long. Sometimes you give up. But just understand and empathize that pain can swallow people up whole and spit them up as hollows. And you lose. There's another saying I said the other day too, you know, you could either be the king or the horse, innit? And often when you've lived a life of pain, that the pain becomes the king and you become the horse to it. You do not rule. You just are ruled by the emotion. So obviously, I don't know, man. This was meant to be a short video, yeah. But as I talk about it, it becomes like more. Well, in my head at least, because I don't even know if I'm making sense to any one of you guys until I look back. But it unravels so much because obviously through physical pain, that leads to mental pain, and that mental pain far outstretches the physical and all that could heal, but the infliction on that person's mind will last them forever until they've built up the courage or come across the people who are patient enough to push them to face that, because most times those people cannot do it by themselves because they never knew, but they've only known to be by themselves, so you can see where it would clash in it. So someone who's been obviously doing this shit all by themselves has now come to the sort of conclusion they can't do this by themselves. They have to now try and trust when they've never trusted. They have to try and believe when they've never believed. It's like war with themselves, and they lash out, they get angry, they get bitter. But that's not them, it's the pain trying to push the cure away. Like, honestly, I honestly look at pain and talk at it like it's a fucking living thing, but I actually think it is in a sense. Like, the energy and the things it can bring to a person is almost like its own entity. And I guess in short, to deal with someone who's gone through this is just compassion and love, but understanding that they will lash out at you, and it's not wrong for you to need to step back from them and take space, but understand that they're coming from a world that's probably, how can I put it? You are in a world with oceans, rivers and all of that stuff. They're in a world where there's only barren rock. You know what I mean? They just had to be hard. So have forgiveness and compassion for them, but also protect yourself, because honestly, pain can be spread, and most times people who've gone through pain kind of want to spread it. There's only very rarely that people are actually disgusted by it. See, this can lead to a whole nother road, like we can go down to like, oh my gosh, I'm not even getting into it, but there's so many sub brackets it leads to, like, but I'll briefly go into it. Like, how many stories do we hear about someone who was like molested as a child? They grow up and then they molest again. It's pain creates a never-ending cycle, and if we don't actively try to break it, it only gets stronger and more potent. And that affects everyone, everything on this planet. And yeah, and I guess that is the dark side of pain. And that's just honestly the brief bits of it, because this is so complex. But anyway, I do not want to ramble anymore, because like I feel like I'm just umming and a lot. But yeah, as I said, more chilled and down to earth stuff is on my Twitch, and I do that pretty much every day, except the days I film videos. But yeah, man, check me out there. Peace, and have a good week, and go in love. What? That's sorry. When I talk too much, I get like anyway. But because it is like, it is so hard, because obviously, oh sorry guys, like I'm just trying to have nice ambient music, so forgive that. But it's hard.